every time they attack Christianity, it's always the same narrative. The narrative that says that Jesus Christ was white, as if the Bible even claims that Jesus Christ was white.
It's time where the white Jesus must pack his bags and go back home where he came from.
Their attacks against Christianity is always the same. The pattern is always the same.
Vivian said you told her that God is black.
I simply posed it as a possibility.
We don't speculate on God's color, Walter. If you ever want Vivian to speak to you again, go upstairs and tell her that God is white.
But we're really not sure. I mean, the Hindus don't believe it, the Muslims, the Buddhists.
God is white. It's simple logic. His son is white.
That's not proof. I'm white, my son is black.
Their arguments do not have substantial evidence. There is no sources for the claims that they have. Not that I'm disagreeing with the fact that there's a portion of Christianity which was used to enslave the people, right? We agree on that. We all agree on that. But they do not have evidence for most of their claims. My name is Katleho Ketlego Maluleka, and this is Bible Literacy.
The level of your mercy is amazing, unending. Since I met you, Lord, all your loss I'm amending. Following your steps and your way, I'm defending.
You see, in most cases, we are told that our ancestors were forced into Christianity.
Is Christianity a white man's religion?
You guys believe in the classically accepted appearance of Jesus Christ?
But now that is okay. We've been stressing the fact that Christianity was in Africa way before colonization took place in Africa.
Is Christianity a white man's religion?
Absolutely not. And we could go just in a generic way, talk about that. The first place Jesus was taken by his mother was where? Egypt. Where is Egypt? North Africa. Okay, let's do another one. It looks like black people always carry crosses. We always get in the bitter end of the stick. So we have Simon of Cyrene who helped Jesus to carry the cross, and he was an African as well. Cyrene is in Africa. We have Apollos in Acts chapter 18 verse 24 onwards. He was a Jewish African who studied at one of the universities in Alexandria.
Wow.
Athanasius, right, in our church fathers, Tertullian, a lot of the early church fathers, and we could go on and on. Guess who they were? Africans. The Ethiopian eunuch on the Queen Kandake, right, which we call Candace in English, Kandake, right? She was a Nubian queen for 3 African kingdoms very quickly. The Nobata kingdom, the Aladea kingdom, and the Mokuria kingdom. These are Christian kingdoms, right? And so Christianity was all over Africa. St. Mark is believed to be one of the disciples that also took the gospel to Africa.
Wow.
Now, the fact that African spirituality is so obsessed with colonization, it is safe to say that African spirituality is a trauma response.
We have such a mental block, and we have such a fear of heaven and hell.
The issue of Christianity, the God virus, what are the effects of Christianity to our culture, and what are the lasting effects to our psychology?
I think for some of us from our society, where Christianity has intruded,
for this African spirituality to be relevant, they always have to accuse religion and Christianity of criminal acts during colonization.
Christianity.
Eurocentric Christian traits.
Now picture this. You are a baby mama. Your relationship did not work with your baby daddy. And now, for you to feel good about yourself, you always have to punish your baby daddy. Now, we've got a problem because while your baby daddy is progressing in life, you are stuck on the same position saying that if this guy did not abuse me, I wouldn't be here. Although that is true, you are going to be stuck. Now we have Africans obsessed with colonization. Now, although the fact that we were colonized once is true, we are still in the same position because we believe that playing the blame game will shift us from this position one day. Now, this takes us to a point where we have to come up with false information against Christians. But now, it would be wrong of me not to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, Christianity was used to colonize our forefathers. But the truth is, a distorted kind of Christianity was used. The Bible was perverted, and the Bible was used in a way that is incorrect in order to support the agenda that was being pushed. Take Leopold, for example, where he told the missionaries that, listen, just tell these people that God does not like people who are rich. People who are rich do not make it into heaven. That is a distorted kind of a gospel. It is not gospel at all. At times, I like it when people speak for themselves. That's why whenever I do something about Sangomas, I let them speak for themselves. I let the principles of African spirituality speak for itself. Right now, there's this guy who was a slave, and I pretty much forgot his name, but I want you to watch this.
A narrative of the most remarkable particulars in the life of James Albert Gronniosaw, an African prince, written by himself, published 1774. The preface to the reader. This account of the life and spiritual experience of James Albert was taken from his own mouth and committed to paper by the elegant pen of a young lady of the town of Leominster, for her own private satisfaction, and without any intention at first that it should be made public.
My master grew very fond of me, and I loved him exceedingly. When first I saw him read, I was never so surprised in my whole life as when I saw the book talk to my master, for I thought it did, as I observed him to look upon it and move his lips. I wished it would do so to me. After I had been a little while with my new master, I asked him the meaning of prayer. He took great pains with me and made me understand that he prayed to God who lived in heaven, that he was my father and best friend. I told him that must be a mistake, that my father lived at Bornu, and I wanted very much to see him, and likewise my dear mother and sister, and I wished he would be so good as to send me home to them. I appeared in great trouble, and my good master was so much affected that the tears ran down his face. My dear kind master grew very fond of me, as was his lady. She put me to school, and I learned to read pretty well. Mr. Freeland House was taken from this world rather suddenly. He had but a short illness and died of a fever. My master left me by his will £10, and my freedom. There was a great deal of blood shed, and I was near death several times, but the Lord preserved me. I met with many enemies and much persecution among the sailors. Then my wife began to lament because of our poor babes. But I comforted her all I could, and hoping and believing that God would not let us die, but that it would please him to relieve us, which he did, by almost a miracle. As pilgrims, and very poor pilgrims, we are traveling through many difficulties towards our heavenly home, and waiting patiently for his glorious call, when the Lord shall deliver us out of the evils of this present world, and bring us to the everlasting glories of the world to come. To him be praise forever and ever. Amen.
So now, after watching that, you have to understand that there is a version of Christianity that was presented to the slaves back then, it was not a Christianity that Jesus Christ presented. When you look at Muslims, you should look at the life of Muhammad. When you look at any other one, maybe Buddhist, you should look at the life of Buddha. Is it Buddha? Yeah, you should look at the life of Buddha. And then when you look at Christianity, you should look at the life of Jesus Christ. What makes a Christian? What is being a Christian? Being a Christian is being Christ-like. You go to the 4 Gospels, whether you believe that Jesus came and died or not. The minute I tell you that, listen, dude, I'm a Christian, my life should reflect the character of Jesus Christ. Now, to ask you a question, if we say that these guys that came into Africa and enslaved your ancestors were Christians, did their lives reflect the life of Jesus Christ? Whether he was white, brown, black, purple, Chinese, whatever, did their life reflect the life of Jesus Christ? For you to answer that question, go to the book of Mark, Matthew, John, and Luke. Study the life of Jesus Christ. Come back to this age. Evaluate the lives of everybody who claims to be Christian based on the life of Jesus Christ, the one that you've read on the 4 Gospels. Whether you believe that Jesus Christ really lived or not. Because we cannot judge Christianity based on the likes of Leopold. Leopold is not God. Hitler was not God. Why am I mentioning Hitler? I don't know why Hitler came to my mind, or maybe it's because of I had somebody speaking about him. But what I'm saying is that the life of a Christian should resemble Christ. As I'm saying that I'm Christian, do I have the resemblance of Christ? Whether you believe in Jesus Christ or not. That's how you judge the life of a Christian. And I think that's it for today. Until the next one, God bless.